Thank you so much, Sandra. Yes, and as Sandra has just said, we have an amazing opportunity now. You have an amazing opportunity, and that is because we're going to be taking questions in a little bit here. For Ivo Visak. Ivo, welcome. TDS, the CEO of AI Leap Foundation, which is a brand new initiative, but also a brand new foundation here. Estonia's national initiative to reimagine education in AI, for the AI era. Such an important initiative that the president mentioned it in his address last night. Minister Kallas gave a keynote on it here yesterday. But can you start off by telling us what is Estonia's AI Leap initiative, please?
Yeah, of course. So just a very quick overview of what we are and what we are not. So maybe let's go quickly over some main three pillars on what we are doing. So the first part, and in a sense the easy part, is giving the right technology to the right people. So this year we're talking about high school teachers and high school students in Estonia. So all of them, and it's been a voluntary program, but most of Estonian high school system has joined the program. The second part is, while giving this, that it is making sure that it is an equal opportunity. So one of the cornerstones of Estonian education system has been that good education is public and it's available for everyone. And thirdly, it is a question, once we are giving the technology, we want to make sure that this technology is an educational technology. So not giving an off-the-shelf product to the students, as in more closely working together with OpenAI and Google to make sure that this technology is rather enhancing the thinking skills than on the worry that we have that using AI technology as it is right now might not be always the most helpful for development of thinking skills. So when we go, for example, the recent TALIS information also, then we also see from Estonian teachers that the teachers do worry on their own on do we develop the thinking skills that the students need, and we are sort of trying to see and trying to get the right metrics with both of the teams from the companies on getting the metrics right.
So Ivo, you've told us a little bit about the AI Leap initiative. Let's learn a little bit more about you as well. We have an amazing opportunity to have Ivo with us. You're sitting here, you're talking about technology. You're not a tech bro yourself, though, are you?
Yeah, I'm not a tech bro. I've had my fair share of connection with technology because of my background, but mostly I've been a teacher. I've been a school principal on the island of Saaremaa. So if there are Estonians here, then you know Saaremaa very well. And one of the maybe the worries on the people who were also deciding on the part of who's going to be the leader of this foundation, I think it was placed in the right sense that if it's only a technical or technological question, then we don't really grasp on what's happening on the ground in the school. So that is something that the people from the ministry and from the private sector who founded this foundation were thinking, and yeah, here I am. Great
to see that we have a teacher in charge of this initiative. And we want to talk now, and learn about how you're actually going to be taking this from the concept and the vision to the experiment. How are you actually going to be rolling this out? What's the plan?
So first of all, we've already done our first phase of rollout. So out of the around 4,600, 4,700 teachers we have in Estonian high school system, 4,400 already have OpenAI, ChatGPT, EDU plus access. So this is an off-the-shelf tool. We're making sure that they are getting the necessary AI literacy training. And on that part, we have chosen the professional learning community training method, PLC for the English speakers, so the PLC method, because Estonian school system is very autonomous. So teachers have a lot of rights, principals have a lot of rights to make the decisions. So there's a very important philosophical detail to be brought out here. The Estonian national curriculum, especially in the high school, is built not on what you have to do in the subjects very directly, but what are the end goals. And the way on how you reach the end goals has always been the power of the teacher. They will choose the way how they get it, and we have to make sure that these AI tools are tools in their toolbox that they know how to use. They know the possibilities, they know the risks. The second part is giving the tool to the students. So by November, we will have run through our preliminary tests in around 8 pilot schools, where we are piloting our customized. So one important detail: it's not a new model. It's still running on the biggest models that we know nowadays. So the most recent ChatGPT, the most recent Gemini. So we haven't trained a new model. That's a very important distinction. But we have customized it a bit together with the teams from OpenAI. We've gotten some resources from the DeepMind people. So it is more in line of customizing the system prompts and also fine-tuning these. So it is more in line with that, and giving it to the students, which runs on a Socratic philosophy. It's not an answering machine, it's more of a guide towards the answers. So in a sense, we want something very different on what the consumer product has been trained on. So it's flipping the consumer product the other way around.
And if we can get the Slido QR code up, I would love that, please, so that we can get questions in from our audience also. You mentioned then that, so you've just actually chosen to work with the standard models that are there?
Yeah.
Well, how did that decision come about, rather than choosing to build your own national model?
So building your own national model takes a lot of time. It's a very long process of making a really good model. So one of the main things is that we already know, so by 2024, the beginning of 2024, we had the statistics of what tools Estonian high school students use. And over 90% of the high school students were using free ChatGPT with default settings, which means that they didn't care if their entries are afterwards trained on. And that's probably happening in all of your countries. So the people don't really know how to switch off in the settings that you don't train on that. You can do that. And also the Gemini, back then it was Google Bard. So we got the statistics that over 90% were using these tools. So rather, let's use these tools right now. Let's get our metrics right. Let's do this cooperation together with companies that already have these people sort of onboarded. Let's get them on our dashboards, let's get them on our workspaces, and let's make sure that once we are really able to really move these things on our open platforms or on our platforms where there is a very, very clear effort put into the language levels and the language corpus, then we can do these switches. Because it's rather important that we start now, then let's wait longer. We don't want to wait anymore. We want to do now. And I think that's been the sort of the main philosophy, that if we continue the practice of let's see what happens and let's train something for a very long time and then let's hope that there's going to be an adoption, the bad learning habits are happening right now. I would not say that we need another COVID period where we saw during COVID what happened for a few years when the good teaching practices weren't the main practice in the school. So we don't want that to happen again. Yeah.
We've got some great questions coming in from the audience. Thank you. I will get to them in just a second. But one of the things you mentioned speed here, but in setting up this collaboration then with OpenAI and Google, how did you do that in a way that you could ensure that it was both fast but also responsible? What conditions did you have to put into place?
So one of the main things is that we were very honest with the companies beforehand that we are not eager for a vendor lock-in. So we were not looking for a vendor lock-in agreement. We were not meaning for very year-long contracts with them. We're also very honest with them that there are going to be multiple partners involved, and we want our philosophy to build on an agnostic idea that once we have our metrics straight, once we have the ways on how we want our Socratic model to work, we can basically apply these philosophies to whatever model we use. Because in the end of the day, of course, there are different tools, and they can do a bit of different tricks here and there, but most of the core technology behind them is the same. So with a bit of tweaking, with a bunch of smart people, you can put any of the tools one day to work in a manner that you want. So.
This is clearly a subject that many in our audience are curious about and want to learn more. What is it that OpenAI, question from Malcolm, I believe, what is OpenAI and Google getting out of this? And how are you able to ensure that they're not influencing the curriculum?
I think the first part of the question is that I'm pretty sure if you look at the size of the test group, let's call it, then one of the main things is that it's around 25,000 students and 5,000 teachers.
Okay.
It's basically a sum of where the metrics built gives already a very good overview of do these things work or do these things don't work. So because it's a collaborative research, then it means that they are getting a collaborative research out of this also, because we are developing these metrics with them. The second part of the question, I'm an Estonian teacher, I can tell you, even the teachers can't change the curriculum. So it's a very dark humor in that sense, but what I'm trying to tell you is that Estonian teachers have been trying to change their curriculum for quite some time, and it's not that easy. And the problem is not Estonian Education Ministry, it's the other teachers. So the teachers, it's a very philosophical question. When teachers start changing curriculum, then these changes don't take years, they take decades. So these things are not something the worries in the curriculum part are somewhere else.
Let's just talk about the change in some of the evolutions that are going on here, because you've said that AI in education is as much about a psychological as a technical challenge out here.
Yeah.
So how are you exploring and moving in that frontier?
So I think one of the biggest questions, in a sense, in general, when we talk about generative AI coming into education, how it's sort of affecting the education system, then a lot of these things are sort of the question on how we have built upon our education system and how we test our students. So how we are testing their knowledge, for example. So if our education system is built on rigorous testing, then it means that students will try to use any tool that helps them get a better score. So if we build their psychology up into getting a good score, they might start using tools that are really good for cheating. So it also means that it is a psychological question, and now it comes to the curriculum part. The general idea is, and I think that what will happen in some time now, at least in the coming years, there will be changes in the curriculum, not in a sense that we are affected by a company one, A, B, or C, but rather the time the students spend in schools. So in Estonian case, from 9 to 4, most of the rigorous learning has to happen there. The question of homework in general, I think, becomes a bigger question of what's the point of homework in the future world. Because generative AI is just one AI in a big toolbox of different tools, and even though we might be laughing about certain math levels that Gemini or ChatGPT are producing right now, then there will be other tools that solve math pretty well. So it's only a question of time. There's a lot of self-cheating in this process, so that's the psychological question. We really have to rather aim for the fact that when the students have good AI literacy skills, plus also they understand that they have to learn, they have to have the inner motivation. So there has to be certain very big changes in the curriculum in that sense.
Okay, so we just have a question in from the audience here, which I think fits in nicely. Thank you. I know that students are actually smarter sometimes than teachers at using this. So how is this actually going to help the teachers and help them keep up also?
So like I said, we are also making sure that, there was a question, by the way, in a preparation of this kind of a stage, there's always a question, is there a big ask? And I'm telling you, there is one big ask for all of you. The main thing is that if there is some place where you have to put resources in, is teachers. So you have to make sure that teachers are getting good preparation programs, teachers are getting good enough funding for these kind of programs to really tackle this new world, because this world is not going back into the box. It's here now. Some of these companies might fail. Some of them will stay successful. And there are so many free models running around in the internet. They will find a tool to use anyway. So the main thing is that we have to make sure that we prepare our teachers. We make sure that their training is well planned. I would really advise you to already start checking into the European Digital Competences Model 3 that they are preparing right now. The second version is the current that is mostly used right now, but TCOM 3 is coming out soon. OSCD, together with European Commission and Code.org, is creating another AI literacy program. So these are the frameworks you want to make sure your teachers are getting support on. But of course, there are always students who have been really clever, but rather than sort of seeing it as an infight, we have to understand that this is a moment where students can be very useful for the teachers.
Well, let me bring in another question from the audience here, and honestly, brilliant questions coming in, lots of them as well. Yeah. So you've talked about that we need to support the teachers, but the question here is, what is the cookie that we can give to the teachers in all of this as well?
Yeah, I think that's, again, we are coming back to multiple questions, so I'm putting on the hat of a school principal now, and the cookie is that we really have to look through the requirements that teachers have to have and they have to fill. So if there are a lot of requirements teachers have to be really, really knowledgeable about, then one of the main things is that we have to make sure that teachers are, first of all, again, well-funded, they get good pay, but also we have to check into the curriculums. A lot of, again, from the Estonian perspective, there are so many things in the curriculum that in this AI generation, we have to start asking, is all of this even necessary anymore?
Okay. Another question in from our audience here. You are going to be working with OpenAI, you're going to be working with Google. Should we not also put a European AI partner into the mix?
Yeah, to be honest, we are very interested on working with European partners if they would be interested in working with us. So, and also one other area to look into is the fact that the Swiss have been doing something very interesting with their Apertus model, which is an open platform model. And there are clearly multiple open platforms we are looking into that are European-based. There are certain supercomputer clusters that are sort of possible future scenarios for us. For a certain area of these people in this room, the Lumi supercomputer cluster is interesting, but there are other advancements coming in also. But of course, for example, we had yesterday a brilliant speak from Mistral AI, and I hope they will put more focus in the future to supporting a lot of European nations in supporting these kind of questions also.
Okay, I'm going to start merging your questions together in an attempt to get them all in. Will AI be used in all subjects in school, across the entire curriculum? And what will that actually maybe look like in the classroom?
So first of all, like I said, the students are getting their tool in November. The teachers already have their AI tools available for them. And there has to be an understanding that it's a tool in a toolbox that has to be used in a smart way. There are moments when pen and paper are still the better choice. There is no point in putting tech where tech is slowing the process. You know, like, I think of course, if you're talking about physical education, then there might be cases, I don't know, creating your own training plan or whatnot, where you can use tools like that in a smart way. But I think sometimes it's good when they still run on their own, you know.
Okay. And what about this gives you hope for the future of education?
I think the main thing that gives me hope is, especially, again, I can only speak from the Estonian case, but I'm really happy for the fact that we started almost immediately when we started noticing that, you know, like, this is changing the whole game. So this sort of gives me hope that as a small nation, digitally quite advanced nation, we are sort of clever enough to find ourselves a solution on how we move forward, and we are sort of smart enough that even if we fail in certain areas right now, then we are already having a head start. So we fail now, and we can learn from that. Sort of this waiting around is not helping anyone. Because this idea of vendor lock-in, this fear of losing your data, a lot of these fears are much more bigger if we are not doing anything. So we have to act now. Like I said, we have to put more effort into AI literacy in every part of the society. We have to make sure that we are having our own national programs dedicated to these things, because these things are not going anywhere.
And how do you see, in fact, this program and what you're doing here in Estonia, how do you see this then as the role in shaping global education moving forwards?
Well, I hope we can be useful for a lot of the people in the world, because Estonia has always valued its education system. We have been, in the past few years, we've been sort of top the chart in the European PISA tests, but at the same time, there are certain moments where there is also a bit of PISA blindness. Mm-hmm. We are not paying enough attention to the metacognitional parts of the things. And again, there are certain generative AI tools that can be a very big support in sort of deconstructing why you should be doing that. Sort of being sort of a coach in finding the answers, because very often it's like, do this, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So if there is a message for you to give to the education ministers, policy people that are out there, teachers, to how do they get started on this journey? From the short journey that you've already had and the progress you made, what lessons would you share with them?
I think, first of all, there has to be sort of a healthy dose of skepticism is important. So one of the main things is that in this situation, there is no single techno fix for everything. There is no point for a complete technophobia. Again, it's not going anywhere. So the only case is to be techno-realist. What can we do in this situation? And when you're a techno-realist, in that case, you will start thinking about what kind of skills are currently people missing, what kind of tools they are using, how are these tools working right now, and are they bad for the education? If they're bad for education, can you do something about these tools? Can you change these tools a bit? And on a long term, start investing into your own language corpuses, start investing in your own open platforms.
So you just mentioned the language corpus, and I believe that's incredibly important. But whilst we're talking about sort of diversity and equality in the culture here, what steps are actually being taken to ensure that all children, all students across all schools are able to have equal access to this system?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, this is sort of one of the key main areas of the success of Estonian education thus far, that whatever the school you go, you have to get a good education. So it also means that this equal access means that the students' accounts are tied to their school accounts. So in Estonia, every student has their own mail account, school mail account. So this is something nobody can take away from you. It's tied to your school learning process, so to say. And it also means that it doesn't really matter if you go to a private school, if you go to a public school. Everybody has access to this. If you're a student, you have a particular version of it. If you're a teacher in Estonia, you have a particular version of it. And it's like that. We're not sort of making any kind of, oh, you are getting it, you're not getting it. It's for all of the system. Yeah.
And Ivo, no pressure here, but there are a lot of people around Europe and around the globe that are going to be looking at the AI Leap initiative. How are you going to be sharing, a question from the audience, how are you going to be sharing your learnings so that they can follow and learn from you? So
an interesting part probably will be by around the beginning of next year. We will be making sure that our website will have enough information also in English. It is sometimes the problem with small countries that we want to only speak our own language, but we'll make sure that we have a lot of resources in English also. And we will be, by that time, having our first preliminary test results also, so we can already have, by the beginning of January, sharing some preliminary findings. But throughout the years, we have also partnered up with some of the research with Stanford University. So there are going to be a few publications made quite internationally. So you will be hearing about these things.
Fantastic. So watch that space for information and seeing how this initiative goes forward. Ivo, yourself, going forward, we've established that you're not a tech bro, okay? You're a teacher. But and we've talked backstage about an entangled pedagogy. Are you now entangled in AI? Are you going to be sitting here and talking about technology going forward, or do you think you'll be going back to teaching?
So first of all, entangled pedagogy. Entangled pedagogy is a very fine idea of looking this kind of a concept that's often used, like pedagogy first or technology first. These things in education system, they're all entangled. The society is entangled system. And what it means is that it's the teachers, it's the students, it's the institutions arguing what they need for a good education. And after we have argued what's a good education, only then we start using the right technology, not the other way around. We are not building our things around sort of very, very technological things in that sense, but it's more of a conversation of what we need for these things to be achieved. And when it comes to my personal question, then yeah, of course, I'm very eager to get back to teaching. And I will be starting in the end of November, so I will be teaching again in the school I used to be a principal of. I will be start giving a free course on AI and ethics.
Fantastic. Well, look forward to watching and seeing and hearing, and most of all, learning how this AI Leap initiative works. Ivo, thank you so much. Audience, thank you so much for your fantastic questions. Thank you.
Yeah.